Hey guys, welcome back to Funeral Facts. I hope you are doing well. My name is Victoria. I am a licensed funeral director and embalmer, and I am here to share with you the facts about all things related to funeral service, both in modern times and throughout history. So today we are going to talk about the lovely process of decomposition. Ooh, aka what happens to your body after you die. So there are actually a bunch of things that happen post-mortem, or after death. One of which is called rigor mortis, or the post-mortem cooling of the body. A normal human body temperature is approximately 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit or 37 degrees Celsius. When a person dies and the bodily functions cease, the temperature of the body becomes that of its surrounding environment. This is why whenever somebody has said that they felt a dead human body, that it felt cold, because they become colder than a living person. The warmer the environment around the body is, the faster decomposition occurs, which is why refrigeration is key. When a body is rapidly cooled by refrigeration, it slows the onset of decomposition, which can be advantageous to embalmers. Next comes hypostasis. That is the settling of the blood in the body in the areas that are closest to the ground due to gravity. So for example, if a person was laying on their back when they died, then all of the blood is going to pool in their backside. So if you flipped them over, their back would be stained a reddish purplish color. Same thing if they were laying on their front side, everything would be pooled on the front side of their body. This coloring of the tissues is called rigor mortis. Now as the body starts to dehydrate, the blood will become more viscous or thick. It'll start to clump together and coagulate, and it actually becomes sort of like a sludge. Dehydration will also cause discoloration of the tissues as moisture leaves them. This discoloration will start with yellow and turn into brownish colors and then finally to black. Then comes the body invasion. Our bodies naturally have a host of natural flora, or microorganisms that live inside of our bodies in specific areas. Now when we're living, our body has natural ways of keeping all of these microorganisms where they're supposed to be. For example, mostly everyone has heard of the bacteria E. coli. Now E. coli naturally lives inside of our bodies in our colons, and it helps with breaking down food and waste products and aiding with the digestion process. But if E. coli were to enter other parts of our body, it could actually cause damage and make us ill. So we don't want that to happen. But once a person dies, it's like lifting the floodgates, and all of the natural flora in the body can move around to other places through a process called translocation, and they actually start to digest and decompose the body from the inside. This happens between 4 to 8 hours after death. Now for embalmers, the most pesky of all of these microorganisms is Clostridium perfringens. Now this bacteria can cause food poisoning in a living person, but in a deceased person, it actually causes something called tissue gas. Now tissue gas is exactly what it sounds like. I tend to refer to it as a full body fart. Clostridium perfringens begins to break down the tissues of the body and expel gases that will distend and bloat up the body and can actually make it impossible to view the body if it's not tackled right away with embalming. Tissue gas spreads very quickly throughout the body, and it can even spread to other bodies that are in your prep room, even if they're already embalmed. So tissue gas is not a very good friend to an embalmer. The body also undergoes chemical changes after death, like post-mortem caloricity, which is a temporary elevation in body temperature after death, post-mortem stain, which is a discoloration of the tissues as the heme of the blood starts to leak through the tissues. After the blood cells break down, it actually causes a permanent stain that embalming cannot remove. The body's pH will also start to change. During life, a normal person's pH is about 7.4, which is slightly alkaline. About 3 hours after death, the pH lowers and becomes more acidic. Now, as the tissues become acidic, it creates the perfect environment for the soft proteins of the body to start to break down. This breakdown releases ammonia, which neutralizes the acid and actually brings the pH back up into the alkaline range, making the body basic. And after it becomes basic, it remains that way throughout the rest of the decomposition. The body also goes through everybody's favorite thing, rigor mortis. Rigor mortis is a postmortem stiffening of all of the muscles of the body. This happens because the body is no longer able to resynthesize ATP, which is what causes the muscle proteins to lock together and contract. So since there's nothing there to break that hold, the muscle remains contracted. When we embalm a person that has rigor mortis, we have to break the rigor, which basically means we have to stretch out and flex and move the arms and legs and limbs around in order to manually break that hold and that contracture. Because if we left them contracted like that, it would actually hinder the distribution of the embalming fluid. Now, there's also something that happens during rigor called a cadaveric spasm, and that's actually an involuntary sudden movement of the muscles of the body when the body is going through that contracture for rigor mortis. This is actually what people are talking about when they say that they saw a body move in a funeral home or other type of setting where they've seen a dead person. So they're not voluntarily moving. They're not going to, get up off of the table and try to eat you. What it is the body just having jerking, twitching motions while it's going into rigor mortis. So if you ever see a leg or an arm or a muscle in the face make a very big twitch, it's just a cadaveric spasm, nothing to worry about, it's normal. Now, when other people have told you that they've seen a body sit up in a funeral home, that's an exaggeration. The only way that a body is going to sit up is if we manually make it sit up. So don't listen to those people, doesn't happen. About 36 hours after death is when true decomposition starts. Now, in addition to the internal bacteria digesting the body, the cells actually start to digest themselves. They have this natural self-destruct process called autolysis. There's also a process called hydrolysis, which aids in the destruction of the proteins of the body. Now, the more water these components have in them, the faster they're going to break down. Hydro, water. Hydrolysis is the start of putrefaction. Now, the actual order in which the compounds of the body break down are as follows: carbohydrates, soft proteins, fats, hard proteins, and finally, bones. So, what does decomposition look like? There are 5 classic signs of decomposition: color, odor, skin slip, gases, and purge. The color of the body is going to change depending on the location and what stage of decomposition it's in. For example, the area around the intestinal area is going to turn a greenish color. As the blood starts to break down, the tissues become a purplish, brownish color. And these colors will progress as decomposition progresses. Another thing that happens is the veins become clearly visible on the surface of the skin. So you'll actually start to see what look like black lightning bolts start to appear across the skin. Not cartoon lightning bolts like what I have on my jacket, but like, actual lightning bolts. The foul odor of decomposition is caused by the breakdown of proteins releasing amines and hydrogen sulfide. Now, a lot of people ask, what does a dead body smell like? Decomposition has a very unique smell to it. It's not really anything that you can compare to anything else. And a lot of people, I think, are going to say different things when it comes to trying to describe the odor. I would generally try to describe it as, to me, it smells like a mixture of BO, rotting beef, and something cloyingly sweet all mixed together. So yeah, it's a very distinct and unique smell. You can't really describe it as being like anything else. And it's not very pleasant, so I don't recommend it. Skin slip or desquamation is the sloughing of the outer layers of the skin as the deeper layers become weaker due to autolysis. So if you touch a body that's going through skin slip, you can actually deglove portions of the skin, which is kind of alarming if you're seeing it for the first time, but it happens, so you just have to kind of deal with it. Also, the accumulation of liquids and gases underneath the skin can cause blisters. And if those blisters burst, you're gonna get skin slip from that too. Gases start to form in the intestine and gradually start forming in all of the viscera as decomposition progresses. And that buildup of gases causes the body to swell up and bloat. And actually, if you press on the body, you can feel the gases moving, and they kind of make a noise that sounds like Rice Krispies popping. And that phenomenon of the moving and the sound is called crepitation. Purge is the expelling of liquids, gases, and semisolids from all of the orifices on the body. And that happens because all of the gases that build up in the body, the pressure forces all of these things out of the body, and they have nowhere else to go but the body's orifices, where things exit from. You can usually tell where the purge is coming from just by looking at it. For example, if it looks like coffee grounds, it's probably from the stomach. If it's frothy, it's probably from the lungs. And if it's reddish in color, it's probably blood. The study of decomposition is called taphonomy. And the main source of study of taphonomy is at places called body farms. And these are places that study decomposition for the purpose of forensics, for crime scene investigation. The basic stages of decomposition are as follows. Category 1 is the fresh stage. And that occurs between day 1 and day 6 after death. During this stage, odor starts to form, the body goes into rigor mortis, the features and the fingers will begin to dehydrate, the tissues begin to soften, and skin slip will start to occur. Category 2 is the bloat category. And that happens between day 7 and day 23. The gradual swelling of the body will begin, and you'll start to notice discoloration and marbling of the skin. At the end of the bloat period, you have maximum swelling occurring, and by that time, the body is pretty much unrecognizable anymore. Category 3 is destruction or active decay. And that happens between day 24 and day 50. During this period, the gases in the body have completely been released, the soft tissue has all been putrefied, and the blood has completely broken down. The body is now rendered partially skeletonized and mummified. Final category is category 4, which is the dry or skeleton period. At this point, the body is rendered a complete skeleton with no soft tissue attachments. And that, my friends, is how a human body breaks down and decomposes. And it becomes worm food. Very poetic. If you liked this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more funeral facts. Don't forget to follow me on my social medias, they'll be linked in the description box below. And until next time, respect your dead, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!